The alarm bells rang through the Earth Defense Command Center like thunder. Commander Jake Morrison looked up from his chess game as red lights flashed across every screen in the room. His opponent, a young lieutenant, froze with his hand still, reaching for a knight. "Sir, we have multiple contacts at the edge of our solar system," called out Lieutenant Kate Phillips from her communication station. Her voice stayed calm, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "The computer says there are over 200 ships." Jake stood up and walked to the main display. The screen showed dots of light moving in perfect formation toward their solar system. Each dot represented a ship bigger than anything humans had ever built. His heart sank as he counted them. 215 ships, to be exact, said Dr. Alan Carter, who had been studying alien languages for the past 10 years, hoping for this day. Now that it had come, he looked scared. "They're sending a message." Admiral Lisa Brooks entered the command center, her boots clicking on the metal floor. She had been sleeping when the alert started, but her uniform looked perfect as always. "What do we know?" Jake pointed at the screen. "Unknown fleet, massive size, coming straight for us. Dr. Carter says they're trying to talk." The main screen changed to show a creature that made everyone in the room step back. It stood nearly 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were completely black, and when it spoke, rows of sharp teeth showed in its mouth. "I am Supreme General Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire," the creature said in perfect English. "We have watched your pathetic species crawl from your small planet. Now we claim this system for ourselves." The alien's voice was cold and harsh. Behind him, Jake could see other aliens in what looked like a command room. They all wore similar dark uniforms with strange symbols. "You have 72 of your hours to surrender completely," General Vextar continued. "Gather all your military leaders and prepare to submit. If you resist, we will destroy every human in the system. Your primitive ships cannot stand against the might of the Zephyrian Empire." The message ended, leaving the command center in complete silence. Jake looked around the room at faces filled with fear and shock. They all knew the truth. Humanity had only 47 combat ships scattered across the solar system. Most of them were old patrol vessels designed to chase pirates, not fight a real war. Admiral Brooks spoke first. "How long until they reach Earth?" "At their current speed, about 6 days," Kate Phillips answered, checking her computers. "They're not even hurrying, sir. It's like they're taking a nice trip through space." Dr. Carter pulled up more information about the alien fleet. "Each of their ships is at least 3 times bigger than our largest vessel. The energy readings suggest weapons we can't even understand. Admiral, we're looking at technology that's hundreds of years ahead of ours." Jake stared at the display showing the enemy fleet. The ships moved in perfect lines, never breaking formation. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. These aliens had clearly fought many wars and won them all. "We need to call an emergency meeting," Admiral Brooks said. "Get every ship commander, every base leader, everyone who can fight. We have less than 3 days to figure out what to do." As people hurried to make the calls, Jake stayed by the main screen. He studied the alien ships, looking for anything that might help. The formation was perfect. Too perfect. Every ship stayed in exactly the same position relative to the others. Captain Ben Taylor, commander of their biggest ship, the UES Defiance, appeared on screen from his bridge. "Admiral, I've been watching these aliens. They fly like they're in a parade, not like they're ready for battle." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Look at their formation. It's the same pattern military schools teach for showing off, not for fighting. They're so sure they'll win, they're not even trying to protect themselves." More ship captains joined the video call. Captain Ryan Lee from Mars Base looked worried. "My scouts report the aliens aren't even scanning for our ships. They're ignoring our patrol vessels completely." "It's like they think we're insects," said Captain Helen Price from the asteroid belt. "Not worth paying attention to." Jake felt something click in his mind. He had always been good at chess because he could see patterns other people missed. Right now he was seeing a pattern in the alien behavior. "Admiral, may I suggest something?" Jake said quietly. Admiral Brooks nodded. "Go ahead, Commander." "These aliens think they know everything about us. They've watched us for who knows how long, and they think we're simple and weak. What if we let them keep thinking that?" Captain Taylor frowned. "You mean surrender?" No, Jake said, his mind racing. I mean, let them think we're even weaker than they believe. Make them so sure they'll win that they get careless. Dr. Carter looked interested. You want to trick them? I want to use their pride against them. Look at how they talk, how they act. These aliens think they're so much better than us that they're not even worried about fighting us. If we play into that, make ourselves look desperate and scared, they might make mistakes. Admiral Brooks was quiet for a long moment. That's a very dangerous game, Commander. If it doesn't work, if we fight them straight up, we lose for sure, Jake said. We have 47 ships against over 200. Our weapons are weaker, our ships are slower. But if we can make them underestimate us even more than they already do, maybe we have a chance. The room was silent as everyone thought about Jake's words. Finally, Admiral Brooks spoke. Commander Morrison, I'm putting you in charge of our defense strategy. You have 4 days to come up with a plan that gives us any hope at all. Jake nodded, feeling the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. Yes, Admiral. I'll need every ship captain to follow orders exactly, even if those orders seem crazy. As the meeting ended and people rushed to prepare, Jake stayed behind, staring at the alien fleet on the screen. General Vextar thought humans were weak and primitive. Jake was going to make sure the alien general kept thinking that right up until it was too late. Jake Morrison stood in the command center, looking at a map of the entire solar system. Red dots showed where human ships were positioned, while a massive blue cluster represented the alien fleet still moving toward them. In 36 hours, the aliens would reach the outer planets. Are you sure this will work? Admiral Brooks asked quietly, watching Jake mark positions on the display. No, Jake admitted, but it's our only shot. Lieutenant Kate Phillips looked up from her communication station. Commander, I've sent the fake messages to all our ships. They know to sound panicked when the aliens are listening, but stay calm on the secure channels. Jake had spent 2 days creating what he called Operation Chaos Theory. The plan was simple in concept but required perfect timing. Every human ship would act terrified and confused while secretly working together in ways the aliens wouldn't understand. Chief Engineer Roy Bennett joined them, wiping grease from his hands. The mining drones are in position, Commander. All 3,000 of them spread across the asteroid belt just like you wanted. The alien sensors will see them. A simple mining equipment. Good, what about the modifications? Roy grinned. Each drone now has a small kinetic weapon system built from mining charges and guidance computers. Nothing fancy, but if they all fire at once. He made an explosion gesture with his hands. Dr. Alan Carter hurried over with a tablet full of information. Commander, I've been studying the alien communications we intercepted. Their language has patterns that suggest a very rigid military structure. They don't seem to understand flexibility in battle tactics. What do you mean? Jake asked. Every message follows exact protocols. They never improvise or change plans. Once they're set, it's like their entire military works from a manual that never gets updated. Jake felt excitement building. So if we do something that's not in their manual, they won't know how to respond quickly, Dr. Carter finished. It might take them hours or even days to adapt. Colonel Frank Davis walked over from where he'd been planning ground defenses. Commander, my people are ready to make the aliens think we're surrendering. We've prepared fake evacuation sites and set up false communications that will make it look like our leaders are arguing about giving up. Perfect, Jake said. Kate, are you ready to start the show? Kate Phillips nodded and activated the main communication system. All ships, begin Operation Chaos Theory. Remember, the aliens are listening to everything on the open channels. Across the solar system, human ships began broadcasting messages that sounded desperate and disorganized. Captain Ben Taylor's voice came through the speakers, sounding frightened. This is the Defiance to Earth Command. Our weapons can't possibly fight those alien ships. We should retreat to the inner system and hope they'll accept our surrender. Captain. Helen Price from the asteroid mining station added her own panicked voice. Earth Command. The miners are abandoning their stations. We can't protect the asteroid belt. The aliens are too strong. Jake watched his screens as the alien fleet intercepted these messages. Almost immediately, he saw changes in their formation. The perfect military lines became more relaxed. Several ships moved out of defensive positions. "It's working," whispered Admiral Brooks. "They're buying it." Dr. Carter was monitoring alien communications. "Commander, I'm picking up their internal messages. General Vextar just assigned the conquest to someone called Sub-General Kilrath. He's calling it a training exercise for junior officers." Jake smiled grimly. "They think beating us will be so easy that they're using it to teach their young commanders. Even better." Roy Bennett looked confused. "How is that better? Now they'll have fresh officers eager to prove themselves." "No," Jake explained. "Now they have inexperienced commanders who will follow their training manual exactly. They won't expect anything unusual because their teacher told them we're harmless." On the screens, human ships continued their apparent panic. The UES Defiance and 12 other vessels began what looked like a disorganized retreat toward Mars. Mining ships fled from the asteroid belt in seemingly random directions. Communication channels filled with arguments between human commanders about whether to fight or surrender. Meanwhile, on the secure channels that the aliens couldn't break, the real coordination was happening. Every ship movement that looked panicked was actually carefully planned. The fleeing mining ships were positioning themselves for ambush points. The retreating warships were setting up overlapping fields of fire. Captain Ryan Lee's voice came through the secure channel. "Commander, my ships are in position around Jupiter's moons. We're using the planet's gravity well to hide our energy signatures just like you planned." "Excellent. What about the supply caches?" "All hidden and ready. The aliens will think they're just space debris." Jake was particularly proud of the supply plan. Human ships had been dropping sealed containers of fuel, ammunition, and repair parts throughout the solar system for the past 2 days. To alien sensors, they would look like the normal space junk that accumulated around any inhabited system. "Lieutenant," Kate Phillips interrupted his thoughts. "Commander, the aliens are responding to our fake surrender negotiations." The main screen showed Sub-General Kilrath, a younger-looking version of General Vextar with the same gray skin and black eyes. When he spoke, his voice carried the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "Humans of the Sol system," Kilrath announced, "your panic is amusing but unnecessary. We do not wish to destroy you completely. Surrender now, and some of you will be allowed to live as servants to the Zephyrian Empire." The alien commander paused, and Jake could swear he was smiling. "Your military leaders speak of resistance, but your own transmissions show you arguing among yourselves like frightened children. We will arrive at your Mars colony in 18 hours. Have your surrender ready." When the transmission ended, Admiral Brooks shook her head. "They really think we're pathetic." "That's the point," Jake said. "Dr. Carter, what are you picking up from their fleet?" Dr. Carter checked his instruments. "They've split their forces, Commander. Sub-General Kilrath is sending ships to surround Mars, others to secure the asteroid belt, and keeping his main force to threaten Earth directly. They're dividing their strength because they think each group can handle us alone." Jake felt a surge of hope. "Roy, how long until all your mining drones are in optimal position?" 16 hours, Commander. By the time the aliens reach the asteroid belt, every piece of mining equipment in the system will actually be a weapon waiting for your signal." Colonel Davis added, "My ground teams are ready too. We've prepared what looks like desperate last-minute fortifications around our major cities, but they're actually designed to make the aliens land in specific areas where we want them." Jake looked around the command center at all the people working to save humanity. "Everyone, remember, we only get one chance at this. The aliens think they understand us, but we've been studying them too. Their strength is their discipline and organization. That's also their weakness." Admiral Brooks raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "Because they can't imagine an enemy that doesn't follow the same rules they do. Tomorrow, when Sub-General Kilrath expects to find frightened humans waiting to surrender, he's going to discover that everything he thinks he knows about us is wrong." Jake turned back to the display showing the approaching alien fleet. In a few hours, the most important battle in human history would begin. The aliens thought they were coming to collect a prize. Instead, they were flying into the most elaborate trap humanity had ever constructed. Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet spread across his display screens like a deadly flower opening its petals. Sub-General Kilrath had divided his forces exactly as predicted. sending 60 ships toward Mars, 40 toward the asteroid belt, and keeping the rest near Earth's outer defenses. "They're being so careful to surround us," Admiral Brooks observed, "but they're not watching for attacks from directions they don't expect." "That's because their manual probably says to secure all escape routes first," Jake replied. "They think we'll try to run." Lieutenant Kate Phillips looked up from her station, her face tense with concentration. "Commander, the alien ships are in position. Mars group is moving into orbit, asteroid group is approaching the mining stations, and the Earth group is holding at the edge of our defensive perimeter. Are they scanning for weapons?" "Basic scans only. They're not looking very hard. I think they really believe we're helpless." Jake took a deep breath. This was the moment everything depended on. "All stations, prepare to execute Operation Chaos." Theory. "Roy, are your mining drones ready?" Chief Engineer Roy Bennett's voice crackled through the communicator from his hidden position in the asteroid belt. 3,000 drones activated and waiting for your command, sir." The aliens flew right past them without a second look. On the display, Jake could see the alien ships moving confidently through the asteroid field. They had no idea that every piece of mining equipment they passed was actually a weapon pointed at them. Captain Ben Taylor's voice came through from the UES Defiance, hidden behind Mars's smaller moon. "Commander, the alien commander just sent us another surrender demand. He wants all human ships to gather in one location so they can be efficiently processed." "Perfect. Tell him we're too scared to move and ask for more time to argue among ourselves." Dr. Alan Carter was monitoring alien communications from his station. "Commander, Sub-General Kilrath just told his fleet that human resistance is even more pathetic than expected. He's ordered his ships to move closer to our installations to speed up the occupation." Jake felt his heart racing. The aliens were doing exactly what he'd hoped. Their arrogance was making them careless. "All ships stand by, wait for my signal." The alien ships continued moving into their planned positions. The Mars group descended toward the planet's surface, apparently preparing to land troops. The asteroid group spread out to capture the mining stations. The Earth group moved closer to what they thought were humanity's last desperate defenses. "Now," Jake said quietly. Kate Phillips activated the master control. "All units, execute Operation Chaos Theory. Repeat, execute now." Across the solar system, Jake's carefully laid trap exploded into action. In the asteroid belt, 3,000 mining drones suddenly revealed their true nature. What had looked like harmless equipment began firing coordinated kinetic strikes at the alien ships flying among them. The aliens found themselves surrounded by weapons they had completely ignored. Roy Bennett's excited voice filled the command center. "Direct hits on 12 alien vessels. They're trying to return fire, but they can't target all the drones at once." At Mars, Captain Ben Taylor led the UES Defiance and its escort ships in a devastating surprise attack. They had used the planet's gravity to slingshot themselves at incredible speed toward the alien formation. The aliens had been looking down at the planet, not up at the moons where the human ships had been hiding. "Mars group engaging," Captain Taylor reported. "The aliens were completely unprepared. We've damaged 6 of their ships before they could even turn to face us." Around Jupiter, Captain Ryan Lee had positioned his forces in the planet's massive gravity well. When the aliens tried to pursue the retreating human ships, they found themselves pulled into a carefully planned ambush among Jupiter's moons. "Jupiter Squadron reporting success." Lee's voice was full of excitement. "We're using the moons as cover and the planet's gravity to accelerate our attacks. The aliens can't match our maneuverability in this environment." But the most shocking surprise was happening near Earth itself. The ships that aliens thought were humanity's last desperate defenses were actually the beginning of a massive, coordinated assault. Admiral Brooks commanded the Earth defense personally. "All ships, execute Pattern 7, she ordered. What had looked like scattered, panicked human vessels suddenly moved with perfect precision. Ships that had appeared to be fleeing in terror revealed themselves to be in ideal attack positions. The aliens found themselves caught in crossfire from directions they hadn't even considered. On his screen, Jake watched the alien formations collapse. Sub-General Kilrath's carefully organized fleet was turning into chaos as human attacks came from every direction at once. "Colonel Davis, how are the ground operations going?" Jake asked. Colonel Frank Davis's voice came through from Mars Surface Command. The aliens are landing exactly where we wanted them to, Commander. Our fake evacuation sites led them straight into prepared kill zones. They expected to find terrified civilians, but found fully armed Marines instead. Dr. Carter was frantically monitoring alien communications. Commander, their transmissions are becoming frantic. Sub-General Kilrath is trying to reorganize his forces, but he's never dealt with this kind of multi-directional attack before. Jake studied the battle displays. Human ships were moving in patterns that looked random, but were actually carefully choreographed. Each ship knew exactly where every other ship would be, allowing them to coordinate attacks while appearing chaotic. The aliens, meanwhile, were trying to respond with their standard military formations. But their textbook tactics were useless against enemies who attacked from above, below, and through spaces the aliens hadn't thought to guard. Roy, status report on the asteroid belt? 37 alien ships damaged or destroyed, Commander. The drones are regrouping for a second wave. The remaining alien ships are trying to retreat, but we've got them surrounded. Captain Taylor's voice crackled through from Mars. Commander, something interesting is happening. The aliens are starting to break formation completely. I think they're panicking. Jake felt a surge of hope. Dr. Carter, what are you hearing from their command ship? Sub-General Kilrath is calling for reinforcements from the main fleet. He's telling General Vextar that human military capability was grossly underestimated. The main fleet is refusing to believe his reports. Admiral Brooks looked amazed. They think their own commander is lying? It's perfect, Jake said. Their rigid hierarchy won't let them adapt quickly to new information. By the time the main fleet realizes the truth, we'll have destroyed most of their advance forces. On the display, Jake could see the results of their carefully planned deception. Nearly half of Sub-General Kilrath's ships were either destroyed or badly damaged. The remaining aliens were trying to regroup, but human forces continued attacking from unexpected angles. All ships begin Phase 2, Jake ordered. Time to show them that our apparent chaos is actually perfect coordination. Human vessels across. The solar system began executing the second part of Jake's plan. Ships that had seemed to be acting independently revealed they had been working together all along. The random attacks became obviously coordinated strikes designed to drive the aliens into even worse positions. Captain Helen Price's voice came through from her ship near the outer planets. Commander, the aliens are trying to call for help. From their home fleet. Should we jam their communications? No, Jake said with a smile. Let them call for help. Let them tell General Vextar exactly how badly they're losing to the primitive humans. The more scared they sound, the better. As reports of victory came in from across the solar system, Jake allowed himself to feel hopeful for the first time since the aliens had arrived. The trap had worked better than he'd dared to hope. But he knew this was only the beginning. When General Vextar learned what had happened to his advance fleet, the real battle would begin. General Vextar's massive form filled the communication screen, his forearms gesturing angrily as he spoke. His black eyes showed something Jake had never seen in an alien before, fear mixed with rage. Sub-General Kilrath, your reports are impossible, Vextar snarled. Primitive humans cannot defeat Zephyrian military technology. You must have made tactical errors. Jake watched from the Earth Command Center as the alien commanders argued. Dr. Alan Carter had managed to intercept their communications using captured alien technology, giving humanity a window into their enemies' growing panic. Sir, I swear, by the Empire's honor, Kilrath replied, his voice shaking. These humans fight like nothing we've encountered. They appear to be in complete disorder, but their attacks are perfectly coordinated. They strike from directions our sensors don't. Even monitor. Jake smiled grimly. The first phase of Operation Chaos Theory had worked beyond his wildest hopes. Nearly 60% of the alien advance fleet had been destroyed or disabled. But now came the really dangerous part. Dr. Maria Lopez, the psychologist Jake had brought in to study alien behavior, looked up from her analysis. Commander, I've been studying their communications patterns. The Zephyrians have a deep cultural fear of what they call chaotic minds, beings who cannot be predicted or controlled. What does that mean for us? It means we can make them more afraid of us than we actually are. Their entire society is based on order and predictability. The idea of enemies who think in ways they can't understand terrifies them. Jake nodded thoughtfully. Kate, are you ready to begin psychological operations? Lieutenant Kate Phillips had been working with captured alien communication equipment for the past day. Yes, Commander. I can now broadcast on their frequencies and make it look like the messages are coming from their own ships. Excellent. Dr. Carter, what have you learned from interrogating the alien prisoners? Dr. Carter consulted his notes. The captured aliens are genuinely confused about how we defeated them. They keep asking our guards to explain human battle rage, something they seem to think we possess. Battle rage? They believe humans enter some kind of uncontrollable fighting state that makes us immune to fear and gives us supernatural tactical abilities. I think they're misinterpreting our ability to stay calm under pressure. Jake felt an idea forming. What if we encourage that belief? Dr. Lopez looked interested. You want to make them think we have some kind of mystical fighting ability? Exactly. Kate, I want you to start broadcasting fake communications between our ships. Make it sound like our commanders are discussing human battle rage and how to control it. Make them think we were holding back during the first battle. Admiral Brooks raised an eyebrow. You want to convince them we're even more dangerous than they already think we are? I want to convince them that they have no idea how dangerous we really are, Jake corrected. Roy, how are the preparations going for our next surprise? Chief Engineer Roy Bennett was working on modifications to their remaining ships. The new weapon systems are almost ready, Commander. Converting our mining lasers and cargo handling equipment into combat systems was easier than I expected. And the special project? Roy grinned. The solar collectors are in position. When you give the signal, we can focus enough energy to disable their largest ships without actually destroying them. It'll look like we have some kind of super weapon. Jake was particularly proud of this deception. They had repositioned several solar energy collection satellites to work together. The aliens would see massive energy beams but wouldn't understand they were just focused sunlight. Sergeant Tony Clark entered the command center, still wearing his black Special Operations uniform. Commander, the infiltration missions were successful. We've placed monitoring devices on 12 damaged alien ships without them knowing. What kind of intelligence are you gathering? The aliens are terrified, sir. They're jumping at shadows, expecting human attacks from every direction. Some of their crews are refusing to leave their ships because they think human soldiers can appear anywhere. Dr. Carter looked up excitedly. Commander, General Vextar is taking personal command of the remaining fleet. He's bringing the main force forward to deal with what he calls the human threat. Jake studied the tactical display. The alien main fleet was twice the size of the advance force they had already beaten, but he had been preparing for this moment. All ships, begin. Phase 3 of Operation Chaos Theory, Jake ordered. Time to show General Vextar that his worst fears about humans are actually true. Kate Phillips began broadcasting the carefully prepared fake communications. Her voice, disguised to sound like Captain Taylor, filled the alien communication channels. Earth Command, this is the Defiance. Request permission to initiate Level 3 battle rage protocols. Our crews are getting restless after the minor skirmish yesterday. Another fake voice, supposedly Captain Lee, responded. Defiance, Earth Command advises caution. Remember what happened during the Titan incident when we lost control of our battle rage. We can't afford to completely destroy the alien fleet before we learn their technology. Jake watched alien communication intercepts as these messages were received. The effect was immediate. Alien commanders began discussing battle rage protocols and the mysterious Titan incident as if they were real threats. Dr. Lopez monitored the psychological impact. Commander, their stress indicators are off the charts. They're interpreting everything we do as evidence of hidden capabilities they don't understand. Meanwhile, human ships began executing seemingly random attack patterns that were actually carefully designed to increase alien paranoia. Ships would appear in one location, attack briefly, then disappear before the aliens could respond effectively. Captain Ben Taylor's real voice came through the secure channel. Commander, the aliens are repositioning their entire fleet to counter attacks that aren't coming. They're leaving huge gaps in their defenses while trying to protect against threats that don't exist. Perfect. Colonel Davis, how are the ground operations proceeding? Colonel Frank Davis reported from his hidden base on Mars. Sir, we've been leaving evidence of human presence throughout their occupied territories. Nothing threatening, just signs that we can go anywhere we want. Food packages with notes saying, compliments of Earth Defense Force, that sort of thing. And their reaction? Total paranoia. They've tripled their guard rotations and are scanning constantly for human infiltrators. They're exhausting themselves looking for threats that aren't there. Jake was most pleased with the centerpiece of his psychological warfare campaign. Using the captured alien technology, Kate Phillips had been broadcasting fake surrender negotiations, where human commanders supposedly discussed their true military capabilities. Colonel Morrison, came a fake voice over the alien channels. The Zephyrian Empire has agreed to negotiate. Should we reveal our actual fleet size, or continue pretending we only have 47 ships? The response came immediately. Keep the deception running, Admiral. Let them think our patrol vessels are our entire fleet. They don't need to know about the battle fleets we keep hidden in the outer system. Dr. Carter was monitoring alien reactions in real time. Commander, General Vexitar just ordered deep scans of the entire solar system. He's looking for these imaginary hidden fleets. Excellent. The more time they spend looking for ships that don't exist, the less time they spend planning real attacks on ships that do exist. The masterpiece of the psychological campaign came when Sergeant Clark's teams began their most audacious mission. They had infiltrated the alien command ship itself, not to steal information or commit sabotage, but simply to leave behind a chess set with a note. Compliments of Commander Morrison. Looking forward to our next game. When General Vexitar found the chess set in his private quarters, the psychological impact was devastating. The aliens realized that humans could reach their most secure locations at will, but instead of attacking, they were playing mind games. Sir, Dr. Carter reported, alien communications indicate that General Vexitar is now convinced that humans possess technology and capabilities far beyond what they've demonstrated. He's requesting reinforcements from the Zephyrian home fleet. Admiral, Brooks looked amazed. They're calling for help because of a chess set? They're calling for help because they no longer understand what they're fighting, Jake corrected. Tomorrow, when General Vexitar comes at us with everything he has, he'll be fighting an enemy that exists only in his imagination. And that imaginary enemy is much more dangerous than we actually are. General Vexitar's entire remaining fleet moved toward Earth like an unstoppable wave of death. 430 ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything humanity had ever built. Jake Morrison watched them approach on his tactical display, knowing this was humanity's final test. Commander, they're coming in full battle formation, reported Captain Ben Taylor from the UES Defiance. Every weapon charged, every shield at maximum. General Vexitar isn't taking any chances this time. Jake nodded grimly. The psychological warfare had worked too well. The aliens were now so afraid of human capabilities that they were bringing overwhelming force to crush what they thought was a hidden threat. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity's greatest enemy had become the aliens' own imagination. All ships, prepare for Operation Final Gambit, Jake announced across the fleet communication system. This is what we've been building toward. Remember, every movement must look random but be perfectly coordinated. Admiral Lisa Brooks stood beside him, watching as human ships took their positions throughout the solar system. Jake, are you certain about this plan? We're risking everything on one massive deception. Admiral, we've been risking everything since the moment they arrived. The only difference now is that we've convinced them we're more dangerous than we actually are. We have to live up to their fears. Dr. Alan Carter looked up from his alien communication monitoring station. Commander, General Vexitar is broadcasting to his fleet. He's telling them to expect unprecedented human tactical innovations and to be ready for attacks from impossible directions. Jake smiled. Perfect. The more prepared they think they are, the less prepared they actually become. The plan Jake had developed was the most audacious gamble in human history. Instead of hiding their ships or running away, humanity would turn the entire solar system into a weapon. Every moon, every asteroid, every space station had been secretly modified to participate in the battle. Chief Engineer Roy Bennett's voice crackled through the communicator. "Commander, all systems are go. The solar collectors are aligned. The mining charges are distributed throughout the asteroid belt, and every piece of space debris larger than a basketball now has a guidance system attached. What about the special surprise?" Roy's excitement was clear in his voice. "The gravity manipulators are ready, sir. The aliens won't believe what they're seeing." Jake had saved his most outrageous deception for last. Using modified mining equipment, human engineers had created devices that could alter the gravitational fields around large objects. It wouldn't fool anyone for long, but it would create the illusion that humans could manipulate space itself. Lieutenant Kate Phillips monitored alien communications as the massive fleet approached. "Commander, they're scanning everything. General Vextar is looking for the hidden human fleets he thinks are out there." "Let him look. Dr. Carter, begin broadcasting the final phase of our psychological warfare." Dr. Carter activated the captured alien communication system. Fake human voices began discussing their true battle plan on channels they knew the aliens would intercept. "Admiral Brooks, the Zephyrian fleet is approaching the kill zone. Should we activate the planet destroyers now or wait until they're closer?" "Hold the planet destroyers, Commander Morrison. Let them get within range of the solar system conversion weapon first." Jake watched alien communication intercepts as these messages caused panic in the enemy fleet. Ships began spreading out to avoid the imaginary planet-destroying weapons while searching desperately for the non-existent system conversion device. "All ships begin final approach," Jake ordered. "Remember, we're not trying to defeat 400 ships. We're trying to defeat one very scared alien general who no longer trusts his own judgment." The battle began exactly as Jake had planned. Human ships attacked from every direction simultaneously, but instead of trying to destroy the alien fleet, they focused on creating chaos and confusion. Ships would appear, fire a few shots, then vanish behind planets or into asteroid fields. Captain Helen Price's voice came through from her squadron near Jupiter. "Commander, the aliens are firing at shadows. They're so worried about surprise attacks that they're shooting at anything that moves." Meanwhile, Roy Bennett activated the first phase of humanity's grandest deception. Throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of pieces of space debris suddenly began moving with apparent purpose. To alien sensors, it looked like every rock in the solar system was actually a disguised weapon. "Asteroid field activation successful," Roy reported. "The aliens think we've weaponized the entire belt. They're retreating from positions they need to hold." But the real masterpiece was happening near Earth itself. The solar collectors that Roy had positioned throughout the inner system began focusing their energy beams. Massive streams of concentrated sunlight struck alien ships, not to destroy them but to disable their sensors and communications. "Solar weapon system firing," announced Admiral Brooks. "The aliens think we're using some kind of star-based superweapon." Jake watched as General Vextar's carefully planned battle formation collapsed into chaos. The alien commander was trying to fight an enemy that seemed to control the very fabric of space itself. Every time he moved his ships to counter one threat, 3 more appeared from directions he hadn't considered. Dr. Maria Lopez, monitoring alien psychological profiles, looked amazed. "Commander, their stress readings are beyond anything in my experience. General Vextar is making decisions based on panic rather than military strategy." The turning point came when Roy Bennett activated the gravity manipulators. Suddenly, asteroids began moving in ways that defied physics. Space debris formed into impossible patterns, and small moons seemed to shift their orbits. "Gravity control. Systems active," Roy announced. "The aliens think we can reshape the solar system at will." General Vexatar's voice suddenly filled all communication channels, speaking directly to the human fleet. "Humans of Sol System, we surrender. Your technological capabilities are beyond our understanding. The Zephyrian Empire wishes to negotiate immediate peace." Jake felt his heart stop. After all the planning, all the deception, all the desperate gambles, the aliens were surrendering. Humanity had won not through superior firepower, but through superior understanding of their enemy's psychology. "Admiral Brooks, should we accept their surrender?" Jake asked quietly. I think we should talk to their commander personally, Brooks replied. It's time to end this deception before someone gets hurt by accident. Minutes later, General Vextar appeared on the main communication screen. The proud alien warrior who had threatened to destroy humanity now looked defeated and confused. Human commander, Vextar said slowly. I must ask, how did you develop such advanced military technology without our intelligence networks detecting it? Jake decided to tell the truth. General, we didn't develop advanced technology. We simply used your expectations against you. Every superweapon you encountered was actually modified mining equipment. Every impossible attack was just careful coordination disguised as chaos. General Vextar stared at Jake for a long moment. You mean, your species defeated the Zephyrian Empire using deception and psychology, rather than superior weapons? Yes, General. We studied your military doctrine, identified its weaknesses, and exploited them. Your strength became your weakness when faced with enemies who didn't follow the rules you expected. The alien commander was quiet for several minutes. When he finally spoke, his voice carried something Jake had never heard from a Zephyrian before. Respect. Commander Morrison, the Zephyrian Empire has conquered 17 star systems. In every case, we succeeded through superior technology and overwhelming force. You are the first species to defeat us through superior understanding of warfare itself. 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood in the same command center where humanity's desperate defense had begun. But now it served as the headquarters for the Sol System Defense Treaty, an alliance between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire. General Vextar, now serving as the Zephyrian military advisor to Earth, approached with a chessboard under one of his forearms. Commander Morrison, I believe I am beginning to understand this game you humans call chess. Would you be willing to teach me more advanced strategies? Jake smiled, remembering how this all began with a simple chess game interrupted by alien invasion. Of course, General. The first lesson is that the most powerful piece on the board isn't always the one that wins the game. As news of humanity's victory spread throughout the galaxy, other species began reconsidering their own military doctrines. The humans had proven that intelligence and creativity could defeat any advantage in technology or numbers. Earth's reputation as the home of brilliant military strategists spread to every corner of known space. Species that had been planning their own invasions of the solar system instead sent diplomats requesting military advisors and tactical training. Jake Morrison, the chess player who had saved humanity through the greatest bluff in galactic history, looked out at the stars and wondered what other challenges awaited. But he wasn't worried. After all, humans had already proven they could turn their greatest weakness into their greatest strength.